Climate change is real, it's serious, we humans are the culprit, and although it's a global problem that requires a global solution, strong local action is vital. And we already have known solutions, but what we need most is the political will to put those solutions into action.
Howard County has a strong commitment toward leadership in sustainable living. In fact, in 2008, Howard County was the first Maryland jurisdiction to initiate their own independent community sustainability office. From agriculture to water quality, with ecology and energy in between, our office is instrumental in building goals and implementing programs and projects that ensure our community has a sustainable future. Recently, Howard County also hired our very first energy manager. Leah Miller, if you'd stand up. Leah's instrumental because she'll be guiding us in a lot of the policy developments that we come forward with and the projects and programs to actually move forward with energy.
So exciting to be here with you at the Robinson Nature Center, which is, as many of you know, Howard County government's first LEED Platinum building. And from our solar panels on the roof to the porous paving outside, this center is a perfect example of what is possible and what can be when protecting and preserving our environment is a guiding principle for development and a priority for us all. I'd like to recognize a few people. One, and she's very modest, but we have in our midst someone who works here each and every day, the First Lady of Baltimore County, and she's upstairs doing work, so just wanted to acknowledge her and her efforts and hard work. Just wanted to also thank Tim, John Bird, and Jim Caldwell for being such great partners, not only over the years, but today and into the future. You know, as human beings, one of our greatest shared responsibilities to future generations and to our children is the stewardship of our natural resources. Our air, water, and land that sustain our existence must be cared for in the very same way that we care for our homes and protect our future investments. In Howard County, caring for our environment also means ensuring that land use, planning, and future development that happens here is done in a way that is sustainable and works not just to resolve today's challenges, but also tomorrow's threats. And unfortunately, those threats are numerous. At all levels, global, national, state, and local, we face environmental concerns that demand our attention as well as our action. Globally, our world has lost land due to sea level rise, lost millions of dollars in prosperity, and suffered loss of life due to floods, heavy rains, strong winds, and extreme heat. Nationally, we're going backwards. Just this week, the White House announced plans to form a working group whose sole mission will be discrediting decades of research that demonstrate the severity of climate change. These actions at the federal level will make the work that we're doing here in Howard County even more critical. The Maryland Commission on Climate Change reports that our state is already seeing the impacts of a rapidly changing climate, posing a threat to the health, security, and prosperity of several communities throughout our great state of Maryland. And from these threats, there is also opportunity. Opportunity to support a green economy here in Howard County, where our residents receive training and gain critical skills that enable them to be successful for the green jobs of the future. We must create the necessary conditions for green entrepreneurship and spur green business growth and innovative solutions to all of our environmental concerns. To address the challenge of climate change, we need not only bold leadership, but to take decisive action. On December 15th, the Paris Agreement was adopted and immediately made history with the most signatures ever on an international agreement in a single day. This agreement called for strengthening of a global response to climate change with a specific goal of keeping global temperature rise on this century to below 2 degrees Celsius. As the world's biggest economy and one of the world's biggest contributors to climate change, United States participation was critical. Unfortunately, in 2017, President Trump indicated his intention to withdraw from the Paris Agreement. Almost immediately, mayors, governors, and business leaders declared that despite the U.S. withdrawal, as the nation's local leaders, they were still in. Still steadfast in a commitment to global pact that reduces greenhouse gas emissions and slows the effects of climate change. And today I'm proud to announce that Howard County is officially signing the We're Still In Declaration. Based upon the 2018 recommendations from the United Nations, Howard County will aim to reduce greenhouse gas emissions of county government operations 45% below the 2010 levels by the year 2030. And reach zero emissions by 2050. We plan to achieve this goal by reducing our energy use, lowering our fuel consumption, and increasing renewable energy generation on county property. And I'd like to also thank Jim Irvin, who runs our Department of Public Works, for all of his work when we began talking about this, and he indicated he's going to be a good partner and help us in these buildings. As part of our commitments under the We Are Still In pledge, I'm also proud to announce that we will be the first county in the nation to formally accept the United States Climate Alliance's Natural and Working Lands Challenge. The Working Lands Challenge calls upon jurisdictions to commit to taking actions that will reduce greenhouse gas emissions and increase carbon sequestration in forests, farms, and other lands. Our natural and agricultural lands already remove carbon from the atmosphere and store it over the long term, slowing climate change, but through more rigorous restoration efforts, we can increase carbon storage in forests, farms, and other lands in Howard County while improving the wildlife habitat and water quality. Because of our strong commitment to climate action, the Maryland Energy Administration has just designated Howard County as one of Maryland's smart energy communities. And with that came a grant of $75,000, which we will use to improve our energy efficiency of heating, cooling, and lighting in our county's least efficient buildings. As part of our commitment to the Maryland Smart Energy Community, we are required to adopt 2 of 3 policy goals around renewable energy, fuel consumption, and energy use. However, given the urgency and importance of this issue, today I'm announcing we are committing to all 3. The first goal pertains to renewable energy, and by 2024, Howard County will commit to get 20% of its power for local government operations from renewable sources, primarily from solar panels, like the ones that you see here. And thanks to Power 52, a clean energy foundation committed to green workforce development, for providing the solar panels for today's event. This year, Howard County will conduct a feasibility study of all county-owned buildings, parking lots, and lands to identify appropriate sites for more solar power. The second goal has to do with reducing our petroleum fuel consumption. By 2024, Howard County is committing to reduce petroleum fuel consumption in our fleet by 20% by improving the average fuel economy of our fleet, reducing idling, and increasing the number of electric and hybrid vehicles. By 2020, we will now have 44 new hybrid electric vehicles in the police department, which will bring our total hybrid vehicle electric count to 144. And we just unveiled last week our new hybrid ambulance. And we plan to have another one by 2020, and you may have seen us during our ceremonial push. It was all me. I was pushing that ambulance. And these new hybrid vehicles are expected to cut annual fuel consumption by over 34,000 gallons and reduce emissions by more than 300 metric tons. That's the equivalent of taking 64 vehicles off of the road. And our last goal has to do with reducing energy use in county facilities. Again, by 2024, we plan to cut energy use in county facilities by 25%, which is well beyond the 15% reduction required by our state grant, making Howard County the first jurisdiction to go beyond the requirements. Reaching this higher aspirational goal will be a challenge, but it's achievable, and it's important that we lead by example and set the standard for the rest of the state, the rest of the country, the rest of the world. To achieve these goals that we have set under the We Are Still In Declaration and the Maryland Smart Energy Communities Program, we're pleased to announce several other new initiatives. Within the first 4 years, we will convert nearly 8,000 streetlights to energy-efficient, long-lasting LED lights like here. Now, I would hold them up and juggle them around, but they're a little heavy. And by the end of this year, 2019, the county will implement a routine, systemic, detailed investigation of energy use at all county buildings as we work to identify and address energy inefficiencies. And we will expand our leadership in green building, going beyond the basic requirements whenever possible. We'll also want to support those who live and work in our county by reducing their carbon footprints. One of the ways that we can do that is by making it easier to switch to clean electric vehicles. Last year, while on the county council, with my colleagues, we fought to set precedent-setting electrical vehicle legislation. And starting this year, Howard County will be the first in Maryland to require new home construction to be EV ready by including infrastructure for plug-in vehicles. We will also be the first in the nation to require new apartment, townhome, and condominium buildings to provide EV charging stations. And in addition, Howard County is actively pursuing the installation of at least 25 new EV charging stations at library, parks, community centers, senior centers, and county offices over the next 5 years. We're also committed to making our communities more resilient. And lastly, we've committed to doing what we can to support and reduce land waste to further our resiliency. I'm pleased to announce the expansion of the curbside food scraps collection area that will now include almost 10,000 additional homes in the program. These residents, we just sent out these postcards this week, Green Bin Collection, so some of them will be seeing them, some have already gotten them. And we'll have sign-up information about the service, and the service is supposed to start April 1st. We sent out those postcards this week. We already have over 200 people signed up. And the new areas will include parts of the villages of Owen Brown and Oakland Mills. And we're just starting. Our commitments to Maryland, smart energy, community, and the signatory of the We Are Still In Declaration make this a proud day for Howard County. It will be on all of us to lead by example in the fight against climate change and the fight for our future. As your county executive, I pledge bold leadership to make Howard County a safe and healthy place for generations to come. And I ask for your support as you've given it to me over the years, and as you will continue to give it to me and the rest of Howard County for the future. Thank you very much.